Hey guys, so today we'll be going over liquidity sweeps. I actually recorded this video and then I realized that my headset wasn't on, so now I didn't I had to redo it. But it's okay. And also this is after the rally, so I'm already tired, but that's okay. Okay, so today we'll be going over liquidity sweeps. Actually, I don't know why I deleted that. Liquidity sweeps are basically sweeps on liquidity, and they show they show us reversals. Um, or they show us opportu. We're gonna act like I know how to spell. They show us opportunities of reversals. Okay, so let me show you guys an example of this and how I do it, like my strategy when it comes to this stuff. Um, so let's use this example. Oh my gosh, this sucks because I literally have to like re-say everything that I did. Gosh darn it, but it's okay. So first, what I do is I mark out session highs and lows. So let's first understand what sessions are. So during market, there are three sessions. There is the Asian session, which is 18 to 1800 to 3. And then there is the London session, which is 3 to 8. And then there is New York session, which I trade on, or which essentially everybody trades on, to 1600. Now, since we live in since we don't live in New York, these times are different because this is actually so instead because this is for New York time, right? But since we're in California, this is more like 6 o'clock to 1 p.m. But I have mine in New York time just because it makes it kind of easier to like mark it off. But yeah, but I have it in New York time because again, it's easier to mark it off. But in reality, for us, New York session starts at 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. But anyways, so let's mark it out. So now that we know the sessions, we mark out session highs. But first, let's mark out sessions. So let's do from 18. So what I like to do, I like to use this line, this thing right here. It's in the line. It's called the vertical line. And then I like to mark out the times. So 3 and then 8. So we could see that this is London or Asian session, this is London session. So what I do is actually before I even go into this, let me talk about the strategy and how it works. So what I do, first we mark off first draws on liquidity. Oh my gosh, why can't I type? Oops. Oops. Okay, let's just do like this. Draws on liquidity for session highs and lows. So what that means is it's essentially like I know it kind of sounds weird, draws on liquidity, but it's basically if price were to touch our like liquidity zones that I was telling you guys about. So like let's just where is it? So like right here, right? This is a draw on liquidity because price touches our liquidity, like So that's just draws on it. It's really simple. And then we have draws on. Okay, so now that we get draws on liquidity for session highs and lows, then we're gonna look for a 5-minute breakup structure. Um, this is the main one. I usually make sure there's a breakup structure, but then there's inverse fair value gaps, kind of order blocks, I guess. But I don't really use them that much for this part. And then equa, how do you spell something like this? Equilibriums. I can't spell. I'm like so tired that I can't spell. Equilibriums. And then after we get our 5-minute breakup structure, um, or our inverse fair value gap, or our order block, or price fills out equilibrium, then we can look for a 5-minute retrace. Um, and then this can be seen through fair value gaps, order blocks, equal, e equilib, lib, something. I don't know. Equilibriums. What else? There's SMT divergences, which is like its whole thing, but we're not gonna worry about that. But yeah, so these are the main ones that I use. So fair value gaps, order blocks, or equilibriums, and then Once we get this, we're gonna go to the 1 minute time frame. Look, and then we're gonna go to the 1 minute time. Look for a breakup structure, and then we enter. So I'll show you guys an example, right? I actually took this, and I keep using it as example. I use it in my other video because I had air. But anyways, so first, let's mark out our session highs and lows for our Asian session and London session. So we can see that there's this high, and then there's this low, and this high. And then usually what you're supposed to do is you guys kind of see that there's these outside and there's these two inside ones. We don't need the inside ones. We only need the ones on the outside. There's a whole reason to it, but it's kind of complicated. I don't reflect on it. Um, if you want to know, but you might not understand, it's basically just because price already manipulated that liquidity. Um, so it's not in use. Okay, but anyways, so now that we have our session highs and lows, now we're gonna look for price to either touch in the New York session, either to touch this high or this low. What does it do? It touches this low. Boom. So now we have our draw on liquidity. So now since it's a low, we can expect price to reverse to the next session high. But anyways, so what does price do? Price uh oh my gosh, I cannot speak. Price touches this area or touch liquidity. It comes up, but there's no breakup structure, and then price comes back down. However, there is a breakup structure here because price closes above this last candle. It closes above it, and then now we're just gonna look for. So now we have our 5 minute breakup structure. Boom. Now we just need to look for a 5 minute retrace. Oh, and then also if you want to go into timelines, it's up here. If you're gonna use it on your phone, then it should be like on the bottom, I think. But yeah, this is so 5 minute, 1 hour, blah blah blah. Anyways, then we're just gonna look for our retrace. So there's so there is a oh my gosh, why can't I speak today? I'm literally so tired from the rally. Um, but there is and price does fill out equilibrium here. There is also an order block here. Order block. There's also this order block, and then you can see price touches into our discounted zone and our order block. So then, what do we do? So after we get our 5 minute retrace confluences, um, I don't know where to go. Somewhere. Uh, is it this one? Oh, it is. Okay, cool. So once we get our 5 minute order block and our discounted zone, then we can come down into the 1 minute time frame, and then now we just have to look for a breakup structure. So you could see here, um, so now price, like, okay, if we were to cut this in half, like let's say we can only see this, right? So price touches into our discounted zone and our order block, and then it creates this high, but it still doesn't break structure. And then it keeps going down, creates this high, but it doesn't break structure. It goes lower, but right here it breaks structure because we have this high, and then price closes above it. So once it closes above it, what do? We enter our trade. We put our our take profit to the session high, and then we have our stop loss below liquidity, or you could have it like below, like at recent lows, but usually you're supposed to have it below liquidity. But anyways, yeah, and then we would have won this trade. I literally took this trade on Wednesday, and I made like 900 Monopoly money from it. Um, but yeah, how again we got our 5 minute draws, or we had a draws on liquidity on the session highs or session low, and then we got a 5 minute breakup structure, and then we had a 5 minute retrace, and then right here, as you can see, we had a 1 minute breakup structure. Okay, so let me show another example um, of liquidity sweeps. So this one I already marked out the sessions. So what do? We first mark out our session highs and lows. What should we just do? Oops, that's wrong. And then we don't need these inside ones. Okay, now now New York session opens. So what are we waiting for? We're waiting for price to touch our session highs or lows. So what does price do here? It touches this high, and then we could see price break structure. However, the reason we don't trade here is because there was no retracement, right? Like let's say we have this fair value gap, and let's say we have this order block. However, price doesn't respect either this fair value gap actually turns into an inverse fair value gap, and this right here, this order block doesn't get respected. So then we don't worry about this. Okay? So then price keeps coming up, break structure again, but then we would just wait for either an order block, equilibrium, whatever. However, again, price doesn't respect this. So what do? We just don't worry about it. And there's this order block here. But again, price doesn't respect it. It pushes above these and it closes above it. So what do? We don't worry about it. And then let's delete this. And then what do we have here? Right. So first we have our breakup structure. Right. So high creates this high, creates this high. Um, but then it creates this low. We can mark. We can just mark it here. Price creates this low, and then what does price do? It closes underneath this low. All right. So now we have our 5-minute breakup structure. Okay. And then what are we looking for? We're looking for a retracement. So we have this for value gap, which price touches into. We could probably mark an equilibrium. Price also touches into our equilibrium. Okay. And then now that we have our retracement, so now let's say if this was cut in half. So let's say we can only see this, right? Like to the left of this blue line. We could see that price touches our fair value gap and our equilibrium and respects it. So then now what can we do? We can go on to the 1 minute time frame. And then what do? We look for a break of structure, right? So now price is up into our price is up into our discounted price and for value gap, so orders are getting filled out. And then what are we gonna do? We're gonna look for a 1 minute break of structure, which price does at this white line. So you can see price creates this high, low, high, and then look, price break structure right here. So what are we gonna do? Candle closure to make sure that it's a valid break of structure. And then we're just going to do our short position. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, whatever. We're just gonna delete it. We're gonna put a short position. We're gonna have our take profit to session lows, and then our stop loss either above our fair value gap or I just have liquidity. Either way, you would have won the trade. So yeah, that's liquidity sweeps. That's just how it works. It's a strategy I use. Um, so yeah, if you guys have any questions, just let me know. I know that like it could still be kind of confusing, but it is pretty simple once you get the hang of it and you're just marking out session highs and lows, then you're waiting for those session highs to get hit, then you're waiting for a 5 minute breakup structure, and then you're waiting for a 5 minute retrace, and then you're waiting for a 1 minute breakup structure. I know it sounds like a lot, but once you actually get into this, you realize that it's not that much and it's more just about patience and making sure that you're not irrational. But yeah, so if you guys have any questions, just text me in the group me or let me know. Text me on Instagram, ask me in person, whatever, and I'll always be willing to help you guys. So yeah, bye guys.